Now, last year, when Rick Mears won his 4th Indy, speculation about a possible 5th win began immediately. A.J. Foyt and Al Unser, of course, have also won 4, but they are in their 50s and considered, frankly, long shots for another win. Rick, on the other hand, has just turned 40, and he drives for the Penske team, the best in the business when it comes to winning this race. We decided to take a closer look at this man who, if he does win today, will become the undisputed king of Indy. Rick Ray Von Mears grew up in Bakersfield, an oil and agricultural town in the Central Valley of California. His dad's hobby was racing, and from an early age, Rick and his brother were exposed to things mechanical. It was a close-knit family, and for them, racing was fun.
I liked it too because I liked them all being involved in something together, and they were definitely involved in it.
Every night we'd come in here and work on the race cars. We won a race one time in Riverside, so we had the money to build this shop because we used to work out there in the back with a flashlight in our mouth and laying on them race cars at night.
Let it roll, baby, roll.
I never did any of it to get anywhere. Didn't do a thing like that. I just did it because I enjoyed it.
From the beginning, it was clear Rick was a natural. He had the instincts, the sharp eyes. It was easy.
Other drivers come and say, well, what are you doing down in this corner? You know, what do you do to get through here? And, you know, and I'd say, what do you mean, what do I do to get through there? I don't know. I just do what feels right, whatever it takes.
In the desert races, the terrain was always changing. Rick learned how to adapt to the situation moment to moment, an invaluable lesson for Indianapolis.
You have one lap that's 800 or 1,000 miles long, you don't memorize it. So you have to stay on top of it, 100%, concentrate for 10 to 15, 20 hours, however long the race is. You drive what you see, not what you know.
By the time he was 25, Rick had cut his hair and was on the road to Indy. Car owner Roger Penske spotted his talent, and despite the fact Rick failed to qualify this pink car, Penske, who needed to replace Mario Andretti, asked him to join the team.
How would you like to maybe drive for us? I can't give anything other than Indy and a few races next year, depending on what happens to Andretti. Said, if you're interested, come on to the farmhouse, because that was kind of a week before we raced at Michigan, and Mears was there at 6 o'clock in the morning knocking on the door, so he was even aggressive in those days.
Penske's team was at its zenith, and Rick won Indy in just his 2nd year. Because it wasn't widely understood yet how good he really was, the impression lingered that he hadn't exactly paid his dues. Then, this fire erupted during a pit stop, invisible flames causing chaos.
Trying to get out of his car, he just came into the pit.
Rick's dad grabbed an extinguisher and put him out, but Rick had been burned painfully and scarred.
The biggest risk here, of course, is inhalation. That's his lung up there.
And the following year, he would suffer this loss to Gordon Johncock in the closest finish in Indy history. Rick had been hurt, and he had lost. His dues, it was said, were paid. His 2nd Indy victory was the work of a maturing master. By now, the Penske team was like an extended family. An air of invulnerability surrounded him. He had been tested and found to be the real thing. He was a star, but not distracted by stardom. And he was newly in love with the woman who would soon become his 2nd wife.
I never really thought that Rick would ever get seriously hurt in an Indy car, and I realized that was being totally naive. In September of '84 when he crushed both of his feet.
In addition to the pain and the permanent disfigurement of his feet, Rick was sidelined at the height of his career. He spent 3 months in the hospital and a further 6 in a wheelchair. While others talked of his retirement, Chris never doubted he would drive again.
Racing is Rick's first love, and it always has been, it always will be, and I know that Rick would be miserable without it. So for that reason alone, I'm glad he's racing, because I don't know what he'd do if he wasn't racing, and I don't think he does either.
So far, Rick has not had to look to a life beyond racing. Recovered from his Sanair crash, he has won Indianapolis twice in the last 4 years. He has often seemed to be beaten in the early laps, but then he has come from behind, calmly and deftly adjusting his car to suit the track conditions, just as he did when he raced in the desert so many years ago. The kid from Bakersfield has come a long way, but he has changed very little, except, that is, for the number of fingers he holds up in winner's circle. How soon will it be 5? That is Indy history, waiting to be made by Rick Ray Von Mears.